The third generation of Peugeot's compact SUV is here, for the first time with the E prefix in its name, clearly pointing out its all-electric nature. The 3008 for the new era brings massive improvements in all aspects, as the French carmaker has once again shown its mastery in design. But how does it compare to rivals when it comes to EV performance and technology in general? Stay with us to find out as we're taking a quick look at the brand new 2024 Peugeot E-3008, a range-topping electric SUV. For those who don't remember the forgettable first-generation model, the original 3008 was introduced back in 2007, and it was nothing like the model we're looking at today. This nameplate started with a pretty awkward design, with something that's somewhere between a minivan and a crossover, if you want us to define its body style. It's easily one of the ugliest vehicles Peugeot has ever made, undefined, and too bulky by any means. Things were finally fixed after the first redesign. The second generation was a significant departure, with a modern crossover design that instantly put the 3008 in the class of the prettiest compact crossovers around. The commercial success was natural, so the expectations from the next redesign were pretty high. The new third generation was finally presented last September, and once again, we saw a big departure from its predecessor, though not as significant in the previous occasion. Once again, the 3008 changed its form. Instead of a typical SUV design, the new generation now features a bit of a sloping roof and a fastback design, which puts it in the class of so-called coupe SUVs. The new model is bigger, wider, and with a longer wheelbase, so we could say it follows the global trend of the segment growth that's happening with every redesign. But all these exterior changes are nothing compared to what's happened under the skin. For the first time, the 3008 gets the aforementioned E prefix, clearly stating its all-electric nature. The new generation is built on a completely new platform. The good old EMP architecture finally ends its journey and leaves room for the new STLA medium, which will be used for various models in the new conglomerate under the brands like Alfa Romeo, Citroën, DS, Fiat, Jeep, etc. Still, let's not forget that the French carmaker hasn't dismissed internal combustion engines yet. Besides the all-electric version, the new crossover is also available as a hybrid, thanks to the modularity of the new platform that allows the accommodation of internal combustion engines as well. That entry-level version features a combination of a small 1.2-liter turbo petrol engine and a modest 16 kWh electric motor, ensuring a total output of around 140 horsepower. It's not much, but should do the job for average drivers. Before we start with the technical details of the electric version, let's dedicate a little bit more time to the 2024 Peugeot E-3008's gorgeous aesthetics, as that's probably the most prominent aspect of this compact crossover despite the full electrification. Once again, French designers nailed the exterior design and brought a crossover that's easily one of the prettiest models in the class. As mentioned, one of the most notable changes is the overall shape, with a coupe-like look and obvious aspirations to go more upscale. But that's just a part of the story. At the front, you'll notice the elements of the brand's latest design language, something that's already been established by models like the 4008. Everything seems like a further evolution of the design that was established with the facelifted version of the previous generation, with narrower headlights and an even more prominent grille. But somehow, everything looks very fresh at the same time, with not many things that can be associated with the aforementioned 4008. The devil is in the details, and French designers know that very well. Still, the thing we appreciate most is the fact that nothing suggests the model's all-electric nature. At a glance, this is yet another gorgeous car from Peugeot. Speaking of the details, it's hard not to notice the new finish called Obsession Blue. Thanks to the innovative dichromatic pigments, it changes from blue to green depending on the light and the sheet metal curves, elegantly showcasing the E-3008's entrance into the new, all-electric era. Ingaro Blue is another gorgeous finish on offer that perfectly accentuates the gorgeous lines of this crossover, while the color palette also includes options like Oakenite White, Pearl Black, Artense Gray, and Titanium Gray. Every model in the lineup, even the most basic one, comes standard in a two-tone finish with a black roof. Finally, there are the new wheels, which come in 19 and 20-inch variants, with a new design that will certainly become one of the trademarks of the next generation Peugeot models. The same design approach continues on the inside. We loved the previous generation model for its avant-garde aesthetic approach. It wasn't the best when it comes to ergonomics, but it looked and still looks amazing. Now, the 2024 Peugeot E-3008 elevates all that with an even more futuristic design of the dashboard. Once again, French designers managed to execute something that can be futuristic, aggressive, and fighter jet-like, but elegant at the same time. Of course, you'll notice that massive curved panel first, but unlike most competitors, Peugeot doesn't rely solely on the tech wonders of today. The dashboard is anything but simple and plain. It's angular and incorporates a lot of shapes on such a small surface. But at the same time, it doesn't feel over-designed. It looks perfectly measured. The same thing is with the center console, which looks even more massive than before, with better organized controls and a better positioned gear selector. Then there's the steering wheel, beautifully shaped and quite intuitive thanks to numerous touch-sensitive controls. Besides style, the new E-3008 offers a lot more comfort and practicality. The front seats are massive and supportive, as you would expect to find in a Peugeot. The second row is also pretty generous, with ample legroom and surprisingly generous headroom considering the fastback design. Finally, there's the cargo area, which is as large as in the previous generation once again, despite the fastback design. In numbers, that would be 520 liters, but what's more important is that the boot shape is fairly square and quite usable with a flat floor. Okay, it's obvious that the new E-3008 has a perfect form, but how about the substance? How high can this crossover fly in terms of all-electric performance when compared to global EV leaders? Well, things don't look bad at all, at least when it comes to electric motors and driving dynamics. Base models come with a single motor setup. That motor spins the front wheels, something that Peugeot drivers have been accustomed to. The max output is rated at around 210 horsepower and 343 Nm of max torque, or 253 pound-feet if you prefer. That's plenty enough to ensure adequate performance, including a 0 to 100 km/h time of 8.7 seconds. The top speed is around 170 km/h. Keep in mind that these figures are reserved for versions with the standard 73 kWh battery pack. The French manufacturer also offers a version with the bigger 98 kWh battery pack, which allows the electric motor to produce 20 horsepower more, so we have no doubt that, besides range, this version could also offer slightly better driving dynamics. Speaking of driving dynamics, the top of the offer belongs to the dual motor version. This model comes with an additional 83 kWh electric motor on the rear axle, providing the max output of 320 horsepower and way better traction thanks to the all-wheel drive setup. As mentioned, the all-new 2024 Peugeot E-3008 comes in two variants when it comes to the battery pack. Base models come with a pretty decent 73 kWh unit, which ensures up to 525 kilometers or 326 miles, according to the manufacturer. If that's not enough for you, there is the aforementioned 98 kWh battery, which provides up to 700 kilometers or 435 miles on a single charge. Of course, these are factory claims, so you should take them with a reserve. The real-world autonomy will certainly be notably lower. How much? It's early to say, but some experts suggest around 385 kilometers or 240 miles on average with the smaller battery, which is about average when compared to most rivals. But while the range seems competitive enough, what's not so spectacular is the charging rate. Namely, Stellantis is still a step behind key competitors such as Volkswagen and Hyundai when it comes to battery architecture, and, as a result, the charging rate of this compact crossover is limited to 160 kilowatts, which means that the smaller battery needs about half an hour to recharge 80% of the capacity. This isn't the most spectacular result in the class, where rivals like the Kia EV6 feature a respectable 233 kilowatt charging rate and need less than 20 minutes to get to 80%. This Peugeot is rather in line with models like the Toyota BZ4X, which features a 147 kilowatt charging rate and needs 28 minutes to charge 80% of its 64 kilowatt-hour battery. Finally, a few words about the pricing. In this aspect, the new E-3008 perfectly fits the aforementioned company of rivals. Actually, it's a little bit cheaper, with the base version going slightly under £46,000 in the UK and a little bit over 48,000 euros in Europe. As for the dual-motor version, as well as the one with a bigger battery, these are expected to arrive in a couple of weeks, with starting prices of around 50,000 euros and 55,000 euros respectively. What do you think of the new 2024 Peugeot E-3008? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.